Hey, welcome back to Dad's Space. Glad to have you here. The podcast for dads, by dads. Today we have a guest. Alex Dumas is on. Alex has 2 kids. And he comes on to share a little bit about his experience as a dad. He's also a coach. He's a podcaster. Oh, I love me some podcasters. He's got a podcast called Love, Serve, Care, Daily Inspiration. It's a great podcast. I listen all the time. Love, Share, Care. Check out his podcast. This Alex Dumas is here. The real Alex Dumas is in the house on Dad's Space. Thanks for listening. Here we go. Alex Dumas. Let's talk to a dad. So Alex came on the podcast today. We did a recording and wanted to get it out right away. He's a super nice guy. Alex shares some wisdom from his perspective as a dad. What it felt like coming home with his firstborn and having to go shopping and go buy all this stuff. And maybe a little bit about how, as a dad, we get lost in the mix a little bit when this new life is here and everyone calls and says, "Hey, how's the baby? How's your wife? How's everything?" And the dads are like, "Well, what about me?" Like I'm kind of lost in this excitement in the baby showers and in the cards and gifts and flowers, and there's dad. And I guess in that time you need other dads around you for love, support, and care. And one of the questions I throw out to Alex during the interview too is, what it would be like to go up to himself, if he could, back in that first night shopping for his new baby girl at the store, and if he walked up to the cart and saw him there, what would he say to himself? What would be his words of wisdom in that moment? And it's interesting to hear his comments. So this is Alex Dumas. He's here on Dad's Space. Very happy to have him here. And take a listen. Hope you enjoy the interview with Alex on Dad's Space. Hey, everybody. Hey, Dad's Space listeners. We have a guest with us today who loves summer camp for some reason. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. We love the bears, the trees. We love the crafts, the snacks. We always like the snacks.
Snacks
always
are
about the snacks, right?
Snacks are important.
Snacks are very important. So if you, as a podcast listener today, if you look to your right, you'll see that we've supplied you with a free snack for today's episode. That's yours. Congratulations. So there you go. And that's on behalf of our guest today. Alex Dumas has supplied free snacks to all listeners. Thank you, Alex, for that. Welcome to Dad's Space. Nice to meet you. What do you got? Yes, right there. All right.
Got an orange, right?
Got an orange. So
great way to start the day.
Alex is probably the most gracious guest we've had so far, and thank you for the gift. I have to find mine. Mine's here somewhere. Thank you, Alex, so much.
Hold on, I'll throw it over.
I got it.
Catch.
All right, I got it. Welcome, Alex, to the podcast. Welcome to Dad's Space.
Yeah, thank you, David. Appreciate the invitation to come here and talk to fellow dads. So, hello, dads. Hello, Dad Space.
Excellent. So, Dad's Space is all about a podcast for dads by dads. And I love right off the bat, let's get a little bit of your dad's story. Let's hear a little bit about you and your family.
Yeah, not a problem. So right now where we're at, for the past 5 years, we are in North Carolina, just outside of Raleigh, originally from New York. And my wife and I have been married now for 12 years, together for 16. And we have 2 semi-adorable kind of, they're all right. No, I have 2 beautiful kids. Our daughter's 11, our son's 7, and yeah, the journey of fatherhood was so interesting. I'll tell you this quick story. This is, she laughs about this. It's not funny. It wasn't funny then. It's funny now. So my wife and I got married in January 2010. And a few weeks before that, kind of a few weeks before Christmas, we found out that we were going to be pregnant with our daughter. And she told me, and I just, you ever have like the short circuit moment or like the record scratch when like everything stops? So me and my infinite wisdom, I was like, oh, why don't you take another test? There wasn't, yay, honey, oh my goodness, I can't believe it, honey, I love you so much. It was like, hey, take another test. So she does. Hmm, two strips on this one, two strips on this one. That's interesting. Hey, take another test. Three, three tests, all with double lines. And I just remember I was making breakfast and getting ready to go to work, and I just stood at the stove frozen. Like I couldn't believe this is happening in my world. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like I burned the eggs. I was just completely stunned. Really,
Yeah.
really didn't think it was gonna happen. But fast forward, and this little baby girl is here. She's in my arms, and a lot of dads were like, oh, they cried. It's like I don't know. I was in the moment. I was present, but I was also, all the thoughts flooded in my head. Like, what am I gonna do now? Like, she's here. All right,
Mhm.
there's no turning back. Not that I wanted to go anywhere, but I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay, this is really it. This is really happening. And it's been a beautiful journey. And then finding out years later we're gonna have our son, and it was really interesting for me because I'm not a big dreamer or thing like that, but I did dream about both of their genders like before they were born. Like my daughter, like I pictured, oh, she's gonna be a girl. Like before we even knew from the
Oh,
doctor,
wow.
I was telling my wife like, yeah, she's gonna be a girl. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I know I wanted a boy, but like it's gonna be a girl. I'm telling you.
Wow.
And then obviously we find out, and then same thing with my boy. Like I dreamt him, he
Yeah.
was a boy. It's weird, but that's them. But the journey with them has been, I think, for a lot of dads, my experience has been, the up and down of, the joy of children, their laughter, their silliness, their way of seeing the world is so unique, and then the other side of my identity, it's not me anymore. Oh, I'm dad. There's not
Yeah.
Alex, go out, hang out, whatever, like, just play video games, do regular stuff. Like, no, I'm dad now. And it still trips me out to this day where the kids will be like, "Hey, daddy." I'm like, "What are you talking to?" Oh, oh,
Oh, that's me.
oh, it's
Oh,
me.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, yeah, that is my role. That is who I am.
It's
So
amazing,
it's
right? Yeah. And like,
yeah,
I remember walking out with my now oldest son, and you're leaving the hospital for the first time, and you have
yeah,
them in their little baby carrier thing for the car, and
yeah,
you're walking towards the exit, and everyone's like, "See ya, bye," and you're
yeah.
like, "Is anybody coming with me? Because I don't know what I'm doing." Right?
Right.
I don't even know if I'm going to put them in the car correctly and lock them all in. And I
Yeah,
get home, and your family there, people send you greetings, or there's a little balloon on your front door, but that's it. You're now a dad, whether you like it or not, whether
yeah,
you know everything or you know nothing. This person is looking at you like, I can't do anything without you,
yeah.
right? And there's that overwhelming sense of how much you don't know in that moment, right?
Yeah, it's real obvious of like, oh, I've just kind of skated by in these first, in my case, it was, 20, I was 26 when our daughter was born. So I'm like, wow, I've really floated by these first 26 years. Like, what have I done? What am I doing with myself? And you just bringing that story up, I'm thinking back, like, um, our daughter's Juliana, that first day, right? We just get into our little like one bedroom apartment at the time, and
Yeah.
I just have her in the house. I'm like, all right, like, what do we do now? Like, well, we should probably like give her a bath. Like, it's kind of late. We went to Target. We
Yeah.
heard all the things like, you're not supposed to bring babies outside. Like, we had to get diapers. We had to get some stuff. We had to get supplies. Like, oh yeah, we had to take her with her. So
Yeah.
carry on the thing, and bring the stroller and all that. And we're in the house, and like, all right, it's time to give her a bath. Oh my god, how do we bathe her? Uh, right. Well, don't make the water too hot. And it was just all these things, but you figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exciting to know that you have something that's completely dependent on you in life now. That's person, this
Yeah.
being is like, they need everything from you. They can't do anything for themselves. And you know what, Alex, like my kids are now like in their 20s. it's almost the same way. They still need everything from you, mostly your money, but it's amazing to see through the periods of your life when there's these moments that you wish you could just contain somehow, like just put it in a bottle or whatever and just hold this because later you'd love to experience this moment again. I
Yeah.
remember walking down the hallway with my daughter, my second, walking down the hallway with my daughter in the hospital, and I just got her out of the room and I just went for a walk. The two of us were just walking down the aisle, down the hall. I'm looking at her. I'm like, I promise I'll be here for you. It's just this
Yeah.
moment with the two of us, and I can see it. I can still feel it. I can go there in a second, right? And
Yeah.
then just you can just see these moments of your life as a dad where you were present and you were there to experience something. There was times where you miss things because you're elsewhere, but those moments when you're there and you can remember and you can go back to powerful moments. Is something
Yeah.
like that stand out for you from your kids so far?
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many moments. Like every day they just do something funny and goofy. I mean, one of the I'm lucky for my generation, right? That we have things like social media and Facebook because I've just I, I get it now. I used to make fun of like people like, oh my goodness, they have all these pictures of their kids. Like, okay, we get it, your kids are cute, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
then you become one of them. You're like, look at the baby,
Yeah.
shove the baby in your face, and and there's so many funny memories and things like that, and it's really kind of a yearbook, scrapbook itself, virtual scrapbook where the memories pop up. Like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, wow. It's like, wow, you've grown up pretty quickly.
Hmm.
They say they goes fast. Like, yeah, it's not a joke. I would say one of my favorite memories for both of my kids is like when they first started smiling as babies.
Yeah.
When you're just talking to them and like they actually respond. I'm like, oh my goodness, you can smile.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's fun. And for both of them, I would say probably around like 3, 4 years old is where things got really fun with them because I can kind of toss them around and not break them.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yeah.
worried about like, oh gosh, the baby's fragile. Like, no, like now they're running, they're doing all the things, and we're just playing. We're just having fun and being silly and goofy. And, it's really, I call it like the second childhood. I get to relive my life a bit through them, not in a creepy, like, gotta do everything my way or the way I would have done it, but you just get to see the light and the sparkle in their eyes, like, wow, that's what it's like,
Yeah.
just being in a zone of just pure bliss, no worries, no worry about identity, no nothing, no constraints. They're just in the world. Oh, I want to throw an orange in here. Okay, great. I want to run into a door. And that's what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So for the young dads that are listening to this, take us back to Target,
Hmm.
in that situation where they're shopping for the first time with your baby. If you had the opportunity to walk up to that cart and talk to yourself at that moment, what kind of advice would you have for yourself right there as you're completely new to this?
Yeah, I would I would definitely say, hey, this is going to be a really interesting road. Like things are going to be completely different, and you've heard people say that like your life is going to change forever. Like it's for real. Like it's hard for me to remember what it's like, what was like, before kids, right? BK
Mhm.
before
Yeah, yeah,
kids. Like, oh, what was I doing? Me and my wife were joking about it one time. Like, um, someone invited us out to a nightclub. We're like, nah, we're not gonna do that. And then we started talking about it. I'm like, do you know we used to go to clubs like
yeah,
before we like
yeah,
that was the most irresponsible, dangerous. Like, what were we thinking?
yeah,
And anyway, so coming up to that young version of myself as a dad, I would just say, uh, be kind with yourself.
yeah,
You're gonna you're gonna be pushed to limits that you never thought were possible. You're gonna do things that you never thought you could ever do before, and be gracious, be kind to your wife. My wife's name is Sarah, so whoever your wife's name is or your
yeah,
partner,
yeah, yeah,
sub in their name, and yeah, just be ready for this adventure. Be ready for for the joy of it, and because it's every day. Like there's no sick days, there's no days off. Like
Hmm.
it's every day, and be mentally ready for that. And some people, that's tough. It's like, man, I got to do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
and again,
And
and
again.
again. Like it doesn't stop. It won't stop until you drop.
Yeah. That's right. And like I guess the one thing I would think too, another thing that would be helpful in that moment is it's okay as a new dad to not know. It's
Oh
okay to
yeah,
not know the answer to that question, you
yeah.
know, because a lot of time as dads, we want to make sure that we, with our bravado and who we are, that we got this all figured out. I've been a dad for an hour and a half now. I figured it all out.
Yeah,
I can
right.
write a book. I can have a podcast. I'm good. I'm good. I've learned
Yeah,
everything in an hour. No, you don't know. So
yeah.
surround yourself with people who do know.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
Find the
be
people in your
open.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, be open for help, for support. As much as you can, no matter where you can find it, because it can get, at least in my experience, it was definitely lonely. You're just in the house, especially those first couple of weeks, even though your spouse is with you, your partner, you got family visiting, this and that. What I found for myself was really not getting jealous. And it sounds like a weird thing, right?
Hmm.
Like, how could I be jealous of the baby? But it's like, I have to, this old version of me is gone. He's dead. He's like,
Yeah.
he's not going to come back.
Exactly.
And then it's sad. It's a sad separation. Like, I want to do that. I want to be selfish. I want to have fun. I want to do this. Well, you're going to have a different type of fun now. You're going
Yeah.
to have a different type of experience where these people, these kids, your spouse, they're going to be with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it's going to be. So be ready for it, accept it, and also find spaces that you can take care of you. Whether it's some music, whether it's exercise, whatever it looks like for you, taking care of yourself, being present with yourself as much as you can.
Hmm.
And that's going to allow you to, and that's allowed me to pour so much into my kids.
Yeah.
If you're drained, you're stressed, and you're angry, well, guess who I'm going to be? As
Yeah.
soon as I walk
Exactly.
through the door, they're going to be like, oh no, dad's like, they feed
Yeah.
off the energy. Kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for.
Okay. So Alex, in your life,
Yeah.
there's a podcast episode we just did recently where we talked about there's three people we need in life.
Hmm.
There's a person we look to, somebody ahead of us. We look
Yep.
up to them. They're a mentor. We want to be like them. There's something about them that we want in life. So that's number one. Number two is somebody who's doing life with me, my friend, somebody I hang out with, somebody that's kind of in the same boat that I am, the same stage in life.
Yeah.
We're doing life together. So that's number two. And number three is somebody behind me who looks up to you. So
Hmm.
in your life, can you identify somebody ahead of you, somebody beside you, and somebody behind you that are kind of important to you right now as a dad?
Yeah, definitely in front of me, my father, my dad for sure. He's my hero. You know, that's my dude. That's my guy.
Hmm.
And it's it's really funny, as being a father, how much of him I see in myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if you had this experience, but certain phrases, certain things you say or behaviors, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's so pop. Like
Yeah.
I've turned into him. Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And not just a negative way, but it's just a funny, like, oh my goodness, like I get why he was like this in this scenario, because it's exactly what's happening for me. So he definitely guides me and blesses me a lot.
Mhm.
Um, Someone beside me, I would have to probably say my wife. I mean,
Great.
I know
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah. Go
yeah,
for
but
it.
she's been in the thick, and me and her have had this incredible relationship. We both really helped heal each other from some wild experiences before we got together, and
Hmm.
she's been there, from the beginning with me, and so she knows what that's like, of the stress, the challenges, the money, all these different things that happen in the course of adult and parenthood.
Yeah.
So she's definitely that besides me person. And someone behind me, that's a good question. I don't know if I have anybody like that in the moment, I mean, I guess the closest thing I would say are my kids, because they're
Yeah.
watching everything I'm doing. They're watching my relationship with my wife. They're watching how I take care of myself days that I don't do that
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
So they're modeling, and similar to what I said about my dad, like, oh, I see my behavior in him. Like when they have their moments that they are, whether they're being like uh, uh, upset or funny, goofy, whatever. I'm like, oh, that is so me. Especially my
Yeah.
daughter, like she's so much like me, it's scary. and
Yeah.
I just have this interesting relationship with her. Where I can just sense things with
Hmm.
her. She's like, oh, nothing's like, oh, I get it. Like this is how you're seeing it, or this is at least how I see that you're seeing it, and then we'll talk about it. And she's like, yeah, how did you know that? I'm like, because you're me. like
Yeah.
you're
Exactly.
like if I spit on the ground and you popped out of the ground, like
Yeah.
you're me.
You're me.
That's
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a little surreal, right? When you can watch them talk to you and you're like, ooh, that's exactly what I would say.
yeah,
Wow. It's like
yeah,
now I have to spar with myself.
yeah,
I it's like the ultimate chess game. It's like, oh man, I'm not going to win this one because I know I'm going up against myself here. That's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah. So just to have in mind those three people, I think helps kind of frame our dadness in that we don't have to have all the answers and we do need somebody to look up to. We need somebody to do life with. We can't do this alone. There's so
yeah,
many dads, I think, we when we have that new life, new baby we bring home, it's us, the baby, and our spouse, and that's it. And we kind of break off some of those relationships we've had before we were married with the
yeah.
guys, all that stuff kind of just due to time just kind of fades away a little bit and we become a little bit withdrawn, which we
Hmm.
need to. We need to build our family, but we also need somebody in our life to kind of be like, hey, how do you change a diaper in public? I don't know how to do this. Hey, my
Yeah.
buddy does. My buddy's got the same kids, the same age. I can reach out to him, or I'm not feeling it today. I need somebody to kind of bring me around as a dad so that I'm present and I'm happy. I've lost some of my happiness and all of the stuff that's going on, all the changes in my life. I just need these people in my life to kind of bring me back to center again so I can keep going forward. I think
Yeah.
we all need to kind of be aware of who we can help as well. It's not always about who we need help from, but who we can help. So that last part about who's behind us, looking up to us, that could be anybody in our circle of life, right?
Yeah.
And just being more aware of them, I guess, and be like, yeah, hey, Ralph or Buddy or Bob, they're looking to me. They see me as an example. They just had a baby last week.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go over to their house and just see them and check up on them. Like maybe I should
Yeah.
do that. Maybe I would have liked that as a new dad, right? In that
Yeah.
moment, right? So it just kind of makes you kind of think a little bit bigger and beyond who you are now because you are a dad with experience. Every day you're living this,
Yeah.
right? You can speak to dads with kids your age and give them support just because you're a dad. You've done this. And that's amazing to share that with other dads. I think that's kind of why we built the podcast and why we bring great guests on is to support the dads that are listening now and go, yeah, yeah, this is it. I'm not by myself here. I'm not doing this alone.
Yeah.
I got Alex here on my team. He's going to give me a hand and he's going to help me out. It's great.
Yeah. Just echoing that, one of the great questions that I I probably would say I would have loved to have been asked, and something that goes back to what you were asking me about, if I see my younger self, younger dad version of me, I probably just ask like, hey, how are you doing?
Exactly.
Because so much goes into how's the baby?
As the
How, no,
baby. Yeah.
how's she doing? No, how's your lady? Like
Yeah.
you're kind of like on the back burner, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
kind of like where that jealousy comes from. It's like, hey, what about me? Like I'm still here. I still have emotions. I still have doubts, worries. I still have dreams and aspirations. But the first question, when my mom was here, rest her soul, my dad's like, hey, how's the baby? That's like the first question. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Not how are
you know,
you, Alex? Yeah.
I'm doing well as well. I'm okay. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm kind of sleep deprived. I'm this and that. I could use some help. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, how's the baby?
Yeah. And in that moment, you get lost in the mix, right?
Yeah,
And maybe that's one thing that a new dad needs to hear is, if you need that kind of support in your life, then you need to surround yourself with other people in the same situation, people like you that are ahead of you,
Yeah.
and find that bigger community around you, because that's a scary spot when you're by yourself and you feel lonely. And yeah, I felt exactly the same way. My kids were little. Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
asking for help, having community with you is it's super vital. I mean, it's the old cliche, but it's around for a reason. It takes a village
Yeah.
to raise a baby. Well, it takes a village to raise a dad too.
Wow.
It
That's a
takes
good. Oh, wow. I like that one, Alex. Yeah, it's good.
like you just need some other. No, it doesn't even always have to be male, female, whatever. Just need somebody out there to be like, hey, like, why don't you take a break? Why don't you like get an hour for yourself? Why don't you go take a nap? Why don't you go read this book? Like, do you want to take a walk?
Yeah.
Something.
Something.
It can be the simplest as get some ice cream,
Yeah.
whatever,
Just
right? Just out of the house for a second, just okay, whew, recalibrated. I can come
it's
back and serve.
it's okay to be selfish
Yeah,
as a new dad. It's okay to have some time for yourself. It's all
yeah,
right. It might not feel like there's enough time in the day,
yeah,
right? But it's okay for you to just to get out and go. It's okay for your spouse, your wife to get out and go. It's okay. Don't feel guilty that you're leaving your child at home and you're not there for
mhm,
every moment. You need some time too, as a dad.
yeah. That would definitely be one of the things of going back. I would definitely have implemented or done a little bit differently. Was that because I had two really unique experiences with my daughter being born and my wife. This it was a high risk pregnancy, right? She has medical conditions,
Mm,
so she was on bed rest for most of the pregnancy. So
wow.
that's stress in itself. And then the baby's here. I wound up working two jobs at a time. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
basically gone from 6 in the morning till about midnight, and she's
yeah.
home with the baby by herself, and I'm trying to help out at night too. So it was that situation was really wild for about the first 18 months of her life. Fast forward, my son's born. 3 days after he's born, my mother passes. It wasn't
Wow.
unexpected. It was a gradual
Yeah,
thing. But here I am, newborn. I'm grieving. There's no really time to grieve because I'm in the mix of it. We have our daughter's 4 at the time. He's born. There's no time for me to really be sad.
yeah,
And it sounds messed up. It's like just you got to suck it up and get over it. And that's not necessarily useful because as men we need that time to feel, we
yeah.
be emotional. But that was my scenario. That's what happened in my life, and that's what I had to figure out a way to do
It's
to
amazing.
overcome. Yeah.
Amazing. So we got Alex Dumas here on Dad Space. Always love having great guests on. Alex, also, apart from being an amazing dad and an amazing guest, Alex is a podcaster, a coach,
Yep.
and he has a summer camp coming up, which I'm so excited about because I love craft time and snacks, which we talked about. So
Yeah,
Alex is
crafts.
providing all these free snacks and all these great crafts. July 11th to the 13th, you're having a summer camp, but who's this for, Alex? Who could be a part of this?
Yeah, this is a virtual intensive of sorts. So from July 11th to the 13th for 2 hours, from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern. Um, I'm just gonna be leading and serving, and it's really for entrepreneurs, business owners. If you're a coach or consultant, that's fine as well. And it's really just to help people recalibrate and really help skyrocket their next level of success and really explore some different areas. One being our identities, like our self-worth, our values. The next part of it is about our integrity, about keeping your words, keep your commitments. And as a father, that's incredibly important. And my kids have been the best teachers of that. When I've said something, it didn't happen. Hey, Dad, you said this.
Mm,
Okay. They
yeah,
you don't remember to clean your room, but you remember what I said. So all right, I'll game on. But it's important because
yeah,
you have being a person, your word is super vital. I mean, if without your word, what is there?
yeah,
And then the last part of this is for someone who really wants to commit to the long game of always improving, always getting better, keep going and keep growing. So if that's you, right? If that's that person who It's like, you know what, I've been playing a big game. I got success, some areas of my life, but I'm kind of in a rut. I need something to shake up and just get going for the last half of 2022 and into
Hmm.
2023. Then I invite you to come play with me this summer camp intensive. There will not be punch and pie, but there'll be plenty of punch as far as punching through any limiting barriers, any obstacles in our way, and we're just gonna create.
Awesome. How do people sign up for this, Alex?
Yeah, the best way to get connected with that is therealalexdumas.com/camp. And for anyone who registers from the Dad Space
Woohoo!
community, I will honor the early bird pricing because depending on when this comes out,
Yeah.
my new pricing will be available. But I will honor that. So you just let me know, hey, I came from Dad Space, and I'll honor the early bird price of 222.
Okay. We'll put all that information in the podcast. We're going to get this out right away, Alex, so people can have a chance to respond.
I
You have a
appreciate that.
podcast too, right?
Yeah, I do have a daily podcast. It's a 3-minute show. It's
I love your podcast, by the way, Alex. I've been
thank you.
listening to it. If you watch, you see some new listeners in Canada.
Yeah,
That's me.
that's
you. That's me.
Much appreciated. Yes,
Really
my daily 3-minute show. It's called Love, Serve, Care, and it's really become more of an audio diary at this point of just my experiences as a coach and inspiration that I see in my world around, whether it's be for my kids or clients or whatever. So I kind of riff on that for 3 minutes every day and put that in a nice little bite-sized package for people.
Perfect, Alex. It's perfect. I love it. You're doing so great with it. I've been listening to it a lot.
Thank you.
Lot. So I think you end off your episodes a certain way, right?
Yeah, I have
Just do it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it in person.
Yeah, sure, not a problem.
Do it.
So this is not a tagline or anything like that. This is really more of like a core belief. So I share with people that you are born to live your life with abundance. You are the master of your future.
That's
you
right.
control your freedom, and you have complete dominance of your thoughts, your emotions, and your habits. And then say, take care. God bless. Stay blessed. Boom.
I hear that every episode, and I can't wait for them. I know the episode's wrapping up, which I'm sad about, but Alex, it's a great podcast. Keep doing it. Yeah, I know it comes from a great spot. And as a listener to your podcast, I love it. So I really want to support your podcast as well. So thank you so much for being part of Dad Space today, Alex.
Thank you. Much appreciated, David. Appreciate you, dads. And the last thing I'll leave you off with, dads, is really come from a place of just be in love with yourself, be in love with your spouse, your partner, be in love obviously with the kids, your child, and things will always work out. It may feel like, God, man, this money problem, or I can't sleep, or whatever's going on in your world. Trust me, you'll find a way through. Just keep going. That's your only job as a dad. You just keep going. You'll keep getting better. You'll keep improving, and you'll look back at the challenges and be like, oh, I was worried about that. That wasn't really anything. It wasn't that major. It wasn't. I made it to be a bigger deal than what it was, and it's all small stuff. So just be present, be love, and be happy as best you can.
Alex Dumas on Dad Space. If you want to go to summer camp, this is your opportunity. Go check it out. Like I said, there's going to be snacks. There's always great snacks with Alex. I love it. Alex, thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Thank you, David.
Listen to this podcast. When you're done listening to this, click the link, go straight to Alex's podcast, and be inspired on a regular basis with a guy who truly cares about your spot in life. Alex Dumas on Dad Space. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Here we go. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Dad Space today. Go check us out on all of our social media, YouTube, all that great stuff. You can find us as Dad Space Podcast. Real simple. Dad Space Podcast, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube. Email us, dadspacepodcast@gmail.com. We're always looking for great guests to come on the podcast. If you have any feedback for us, what do we do good? What do we need to work on? Let us know here at Dad Space. Looking forward to connecting with you on the next episode. It's coming up right now. Just let this keep playing and it'll automatically come. Follow us on your podcast app for more. Cheers. To you, Dad. Thank you.